Direct mail shouldn't be guesswork. It's all math. Every campaign is telling you exactly what's working and exactly what's broken. If you know which numbers to look at, that is. In this video, I'm gonna break down the 5 direct mail KPIs that we track and how each one tells us what to fix before we spend another dollar. If you're new here, I'm Tiffany High. I'm the co-founder of Heels Homes and Results Driven REI alongside my wonderful husband and business partner, Josh High. And after experiencing well over 2,000 real estate transactions and coaching over 5,000 students nationwide, I can confidently say I've made every mistake in the book there is to make. And now we help people just like you avoid them so that you can live in what I call option freedom, the ability to do what you want, when you want, with whoever the hell you want. So let's dive in. Before I get into the actual numbers, there is one thing that has to be true first, or none of it works. Every mail piece needs its own dedicated phone number to it. If you are using the same phone number on every mail piece that you send out, you will never actually know which piece performed, which list performed, which campaign actually produced a given call. So you cannot manage what you cannot attribute. A unique number per mailer is what turns direct mail from a guess into something that you can actually measure. So what is a campaign? Let's start there. A campaign is, for example, let's just put it up at the top and say, I'm gonna mail the foreclosure list for 6 rounds, and I'm gonna do once a month for 6 months, okay? So the campaign is, I'm gonna mail the foreclosure list for 6 rounds, and then it branches off, round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? Each one of those rounds needs its own phone number so that we can track the performance not only by that round, but also by that mail piece, right? Because let's just say each round is a different mail piece. I won't know which mail piece was working and not working if they all have the same phone number. And then also we track based on the round. So what does that mean? Let's just say we run the foreclosure list for 6 rounds 3 times in a row. The stats will then tell us if we're tracking it by round with a different phone number and say, man, the response rate drastically falls off after round 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, and it might tell us, hey, to optimize our spend, or maybe it's saying we still have a high response rate all 6 rounds, and maybe we want to test adding a couple more rounds. But we won't know that if we don't have a dedicated phone number per mail piece to be able to track inside of our direct mail tracker. The first KPI that I want you to track is called the response rate. That means when I send out 100 mailers and let's just say I get 10 calls, then that's a 10% response rate. So it's the total calls received divided by the pieces that we mail. And this is the first signal on whether a list or a mail piece is working at all. So, for example, let's say that I happen to send this same list, these 2 totally different mail pieces, like one's pink and a postcard and whatever, and one's like a handwritten letter. And maybe one piece gets like 3 times the response rate as the other. That tells me that one mail piece outperformed the other mail piece, and maybe we want to drop that mail piece and test a different one. But let's just say that both mail pieces had a really low response rate. That then tells me that I need to now go say, is this data worth mailing? So if it's off, it's usually one of those 2 things, the mail piece itself or the data. Mail at least 3 different mail piece designs to the same distressed data set to isolate which one it is, because we can't really make decisions if we're not mailing at least 3 times, at least to start. It's also completely normal to see a higher response rate on round 1 or 2 because you'll have more people calling in saying, remove me off the list. And as time goes, those people now are already removed. And so you'll naturally see a little bit of drop off the more rounds that you send. But if there's like a massive drop off from one mailer to the next, you might test to see if it's the mailer first and then send another mailer and you might see it come right back up. That's when you know that mail piece per se needs to be wiped out, and then we test a different mail piece. The second KPI is what I call quality lead rate. Now, when you send direct mail, there are gonna be people that call you and say, remove me from the list, and there are gonna be people that say, yeah, I would love to hear an offer. A high response rate, but with low quality leads, which means that I'm getting a ton of calls, but they're all saying, F you, remove me from the list, might mean that we're not targeting the right distressed list, or we sent a mail piece that pissed them off. So you have to pay attention to those moving pieces, okay? Now, if you're like blasting a massive just absentee owner list, guys, you're not gonna get quality leads, right? We have to focus on quality data. So courthouse data, AI list, etc. I'll make another video for that, but ultimately, Do not be like mass blasting, absentee owner, high equity, long-term owner, or any of that crap. Now let's dive into KPI number 3. This is what I like to call pieces per deal. So that is the total number of mail pieces divided by the number of deals that closed from that campaign. And this tells you the real volume it takes to produce one deal from a given list or campaign, etc. So if that number is climbing, let's just say, hypothetically, this campaign over here was doing one deal for every 2,000 mail pieces, but this one over here is doing one deal for every 5,000 pieces. It could mean I'm hitting too broad of a list, like I'm pulling absentee owner and hitting on what you shouldn't be doing, so it's not niche enough or distressed enough. It could be something in the sales process has fallen off. So if you're a one-man show, I would go audit your calls and figure out, did I fall off the process, and follow an audit framework. If you have a team, I would go pay attention to their scorecard and their metrics every day and figure out, is there a KPI that's fallen off? Because maybe there's something happening in the acquisitions that fell off the process, and that's causing it to go from 1 of 2,000 to 1 of 5,000. So you should create a checklist of, check the data, am I going too broad? Check, am I getting too many return mails? Like maybe I'm not mailing the right houses. Check the acquisitions process. One thing I want you to notice here is the data is telling me how to close the gap. If you're not tracking the data and you're spending money on mail, do you see that if you're not checking all these things, how much money you're probably blowing? Now, KPI number 5 is profit per deal. Now, this one's important because a lot of people will drop some mail and then maybe they only primarily focus on one exit strategy. So maybe you're only a wholesaler, you're only a flipper, or you're a hold investor or an agent. Guys, if I were to spend 10 grand on mail and you spend 10 grand on mail and we send it to the same list, the same time, the same mailers, but I make 4 times as much money, here's probably why. I'll go to my cost per deal and I'll verify, are they made up of assignments, rehabs, retail, like what's going on? So I can list it, I can wholesale it, I can flip it, I can hold it, I can get creative. You name it, I'm gonna make money off them if they wanna sell. Now, if you're either just a wholesaler or just a rehabber, then you're boxing yourself in to the ability to make money on anyone that calls you and wants to sell. So the next step then is, if my profit per deal is low comparatively to what I'm sending, but yet they want to sell, I would challenge, do you actually operate all of those tools in your tool belt from when it comes to exit strategies? And if not, we now know where the gap is. We've got to get educated, right? Educated first. We got to learn, do, become. We need to then execute it, right? First, we got to learn how to do it. Then we got to do it. A lot of people forget the become, learn, do, become, because they got to become the person that deserves the result. So ultimately, guys, that's the 5 core metrics. Now, there's a lot more we track than that in our direct mail tracker, but if you can at least get these 5 started, it'll start helping you inch in to doing direct mail and feel confident in investing, and at least now have an SOP for each one of those, that if it's off, then look at this. And if you want a link to our exact direct mail mastery system, we build a course for it for free. It's inside of our school community. So you'll get the tracker we use inside of there, the training videos, we walk through every KPI, and the exact process that we follow to know whether a campaign is working or needs to be adjusted. The link to the community is in the description and pinned in the comments. I'll see you inside.